I want to give you some ideas, some really important tips with regard to handling your horses, hooves, handling, and getting ready for the farrier. That's a big thing. I had the benefit as a young guy. My dad was a farrier. I shod my own horses for many years as a working cowboy, and many years even as a clinician, looked after my own horses' hooves. Now I have farriers most of the time. They just do such a nice job, and lots of times I don't have the time. But I still really take the preparation seriously. So I want to give you some ideas. I'm going to start with AJ today, and AJ has had his, not only a couple sets of shoes on. And one of the things that I want you to start with the thinking of is this doesn't have to be in a set of cross ties. The horse doesn't have to be tied up. In fact, I prefer right now that I get my horse in a headspace where they're calm to stand here. So I've been playing with AJ today. This is where we're going to do the hoof care. And I'm going to make this some place where we get to the point where we can stand here. I will make that a session. Like I'll say today, instead of riding and doing all this, we're going to get good at standing here. I might move them around over there, come back and stand here, move them around, come back and stand here, just so that this becomes the place of comfort. So I want to get where I can actually have him be here. I can drop my rein and I can go about my job. So can I at first be able to do this and just walk all around the horse? He's obviously standing here nice and quiet. And you want to get, before the farrier comes, exercise your horse. Make sure they're in the spot where they're used to standing. Don't take them right out of the pen with the rush, all of that. Prepare them. It's our job. And if you want your farrier to answer your phone and be there on time, get a good one, get your horse's legs to be easy to handle, get their hooves to be easy to handle. So my goal is, my goal would be that my farrier could actually grab my horse, drop the rein, and go all the way around them and they don't move. So that will be where we get to AJ. So the next thing is, can I come down, and I just want to make this a really introductory lesson, but can I come down and rub the legs and not have them pick up? A horse's legs can get too sensitive to where every time you touch them, you're picking them up. So I want to cue him to pick them up. So when I'm just walking around like this, I want to just rub them, and it doesn't mean anything. If they pick it up, I don't. I just keep rubbing like this, come over this side, rub here. If he was to move, I would go ahead and do something, like put him back, work him around. Now, when I go to ask him to pick it up, I'm going to come up to the chest and I'm going to give a little squeeze there, and then I'll take it into my hand. And one of the things is I want to be able to get that to pick up into my hand, and I'll block him if he tries to nibble on me, is get that to go, even just with the one hand, pick this up into my hand here like this. So one of the keys, especially if the horse is a little worried about leg handling. Now on the hind legs, I'm going to turn him just so you can see. On the hind legs, I'm going to do it here. Let's give a little squeeze. Now he's already got it picked up, so I'm not going to pick it up. I'll just go to the front leg. I'll last that one up. Back him up. Rub on it first. Then I'm going to go to the cap of the hock, give it a little squeeze as it starts to pick up, and see if I can get that to pick up into my hand. What we want to try to avoid doing is to try to come down and grab the leg without any contact. So if you're going to come back and get that leg, you start here and rub your way down. And if it's there for you when you get there, fine. I would like, I'm going to have to work on that a little more with him, to where I just rub on his legs and it doesn't mean anything. Now, if his leg was already up like this, I could just rub my hand down here and I could pick it up. What I want to do is I don't want to bring this hand and just grab it and have it come out of nowhere and have the horse go, where did that come from, and react. The other thing that you want to be super careful of is you don't do this. So if I bring the other hand in, I take it on this hand, or after I've got a hold of the hoof and it's all secure, then I can come on here. What you don't want to do is this one. The horses can stomp their foot into the ground so fast and your fingers get kind of hooked there, and people can lose their fingers that way. So you're off to the side of it like this. Now, let's go back to the front legs for a second, front hooves here. So I come here, first I'm going to rub on it. I've got him in a nice comfortable spot. He's standing here quiet. I'm going to go ask his leg to pick up. Now, a big thing when we go to, clean our horse's hoof, we go every day, we do our cleaning, which is really important every day. You do that. One of the things is that's about how long it takes, maybe a little longer, and then we put the hoof down. that almost sets our horse up for failure when the farrier comes, because the farrier can't do it for, 4 seconds, 10 seconds. They have to hold the hoof for a lot longer. So you'll notice horses have these little hourglasses that have very few grains of sand in, and they run out of patience holding their hoof. So when you go do this, make a session out of it, take a little extra time, pick up their hooves, pick up these, play with the legs, pick up the hooves, even in the middle of a session, playing on the ground, just stop, do it all. The other one is like this, is feel, when you've got it there, feel the area that leg is free. Now some horses, they're thick, like AJ's a pretty thick, quarter horse, a pretty stocky type of horse. So his hoof goes to there, to there, to there easily, and to there. So it's in that area that if a horse is having a problem with their legs, or I want to hold it for longer, I want to hold it for longer, I'll hold it in that area. And I'll even encourage you to learn, it'll make you feel for your farrier, to take it into the hands-free position here. Now when you do that, I'm trying to keep it in that area, in that spot. So it's a little harder for me to do that because I've got to get it under the horse a little more. But it's still in that loose spot. It's much easier for me if I take the hoof way out here to work on it. But if I leave it in this space right here, in here, he'll hold it there much longer. As soon as I torque his joint, pull it out to the side, you're gonna have trouble, especially if they have to hold it there for longer. So I kind of block him there. So it's like this, pinch it in there, see if you can hold that. Now once it's there, just bother him there. Then I can, now if he wants to wrestle here at all, I'll come back into this position and I'm gonna position him back. This is the spot, we're not wandering. He needs just a little reminder here. And I'm holding it for longer. And actually, I'm gonna show you another thing. I'm gonna hold it. I'm gonna hold it for longer. Try to get into the hands-free position. And then little things, like even the noise of a rasp, take an old rasp or something like that, get that noise. The other one is with the hammer. So lots of times when a person finishes a nail, when we finish a nail, you start out light and then you build, and you finish the nail, that's the last tap that happens. So what you want to do is, if a horse has a hard time with getting nailed, so I'm gonna put him back in that spot. You're doing a job here, AJ. Give him a little trouble here. It's right there. This is just a mental thing is what it is. Let me get him turned here a little bit, just exactly where I want, right there. So when a farrier finishes a nail, they start light. And because the nail has a wedge, as you start to tap more, it starts to engage that and kick that nail out. So the final taps, pop, 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 finish the nail and it comes out. The challenge for the horse is, at the highest degree of tap, is when the nail's coming out and they're finished. So it starts like tick, 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 and then it gets bigger. But a horse can learn what's gonna happen before what happens. So that means they go, oh, I know what's gonna happen at the end here, is as it gets to here, they go jerk their leg. So the last thing is the biggest tap. That's what they wanna miss. So what you do is, start light, increase it and use rhythm, increase it, and retreat it, increase it. Now he's changed position a little bit. I'll change with him, but I won't go very far. Increase it, and then I finish with a couple of the taps at the end. So increase, finish with a couple of taps at the end. You can use a little rock, you can use I just want to have this, and I always finish with that. So even if I was nailing him, I go pop, 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 finish, da, 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 da. And just like that, finish that off. So then the next piece is, I would go here, take this hoof, and while he's got it so nice, he's turned it loose to me, he's being very respectful, very polite. What I'm gonna do is I'll set it down. I don't want him to have it bash into the ground there. I wanted to take a second to jump in and invite you to our newsletter. It's fun, it's free, we offer horsemanship tips, it's easy to cancel, we don't overwhelm your inbox. I've had thousands of people go through my program, and this is a great way to start learning how to be better with horses from wherever you're at. So join me, go to jonathanfieldhorsemanship.com and join our newsletter. Check out and see if there's something there for interest for you. And remember, stay inspired by horses. Because imagine, he's turned his limb loose. So if I just drop it and it goes toe first into the ground, that's often the start for horses to do like this, because they don't know when it's going to drop, so they start grabbing their limb. So you just take a millisecond, it doesn't take any time at all. Just take that extra second, you just go there. You just set it down. So now let's line up the hind legs. Oh, one more thing actually before we do that. The hoof stand is another key thing. And that's a point where, you know, to help your farrier is to get, not everybody will have a hoof stand, but is to get where you practice putting that hoof on a hoof stand. So in this case here, so I'm going to put it up here and I'd leave it here for a while longer. I want to have him up here. I can practice, you know, like I'm finishing the hoof here, finishing the outside. I just got a little bit of, you know, stuff going on here. Spending some time here, rubbing on him. Spend time, like get to a minute. If you want that job to be nice, boy, it's so much easier for a farrier. Then in the beginning, you know, you don't have to go a minute. Take it off, put it back on, stand it on here, rub on them. Build up that time, then make the transition from here to here, into this position. Little taps, brush strokes, and get it into position. He has to learn that transition. Little massage, make this transition back, set it down. The better you can do that for your horse, I promise you, it will pay. So now let's go through the hind leg. We'll get it sorted out here. We're going to reposition him a little bit. So he's already got it up, which is great, fine. I'll just take it. So in this case, I find that zone where it's going to be comfortable. So in here somewhere, you kind of got that. So I'm going to do this right up in here, right in here. So you come in, try to bring him into this position if you can. So when you're here, these kinds of things, you bring it into position, you kind of sit down into it like that and you learn how to hold that. So you get to hands-free position. Give a tap, bring it under, take it up here. We'll take it onto the stand. All these things, you should learn how to do all these things. So when I think of becoming a horseman, I don't think it's just riding. I don't think it's just on the ground. It's not just liberty. It's learning hoof care. It's learning how to handle legs, how to prepare the horse. Taking that responsibility is my job. Also learn about the hoof. So if I go to trim it, oh, I can get, in my case, you know, I'm trimming him right now. So I can practice here. Give him a little trim. And I'm just getting good at holding it longer. It's such an important thing. Especially if you're a young person out there. You know, go to school, learn this stuff. It is just so important to know. I had the fortune, my dad was a farrier and then as a working cowboy. So I'm gonna give him a little break there because that's, see, put him back into this position. I could feel him it's just a stretch thing. I could even let him have it down for a sec. Never hurts just to do that. He's doing good. And we'll take it back up. I stay back out of here. I try to stay back so I don't get cow kicked. Swipe out like that. So it's in here, I stay back in here. Then get that out of here right now. Bring it back into position. And get it cleaned up. Right here, he's gonna have a little struggle. We can do some other lessons too. If you do have a handler, what the handler should do is important to, you know, your handler does things correct too. So now, just for me sighting this hoof, I like to hang it, let that limb hang, so I can then sight it, taking the whole limb into account. So it's a little high inside, they often are. That balance of a horse. Of course, you have balance of a horse's hoof this way. It's called medial lateral. So medial is middle, inside. So he was high medial. If you let that high, tips that whole hoof capsule over. So I'll get behind that leg, hold it a little longer, sight it. It's pretty nice. I'm gonna give him a break in a sec, but after, he's trying to think other things here. He's up there doing stuff. So I'm gonna set it down. I'm gonna walk up here and go, hey, I'll back him up a little. I'll put him back into position, quite firm. This is the spot where not just quite firm, and leave him, try not to step on my gear there. Right there. So now we're going to take it up here and bring it up. So all these things, even if you don't trim your horse's hoof, you know, just learn different parts of the world. You know, you're not allowed to shoe your horses unless you get properly trained. You should never shoe a horse unless you're properly trained. Some people do some terrible things. So I'm not suggesting you start trimming horses without the training. It's just really take the time. Besides, I got my horse just trimmed right here while we're doing this lesson. But take the time, take the responsibility. Think of it, becoming a horsewoman is to learn more than just the riding of a horse. We want to learn about hooves. We want to learn about the biomechanics of a horse, learn about all the different disciplines, saddle fit, dental, all those things, chiropractic, feed, when to put them on grass, but not, it goes on. And I like to cover all this stuff, and I will continue to do that. But this is a part one of many lessons. We can talk leg handling, dealing with different problems. But the big thing here is set you and your horse up and your farrier up for success. Do not be in a confined space. Don't be in some little tie stall, some little box stall, inside a barn even half the time. I see people, they're right up against a barn alley. Horse is tied on that side, they're on this side, and they're right up against a barn, or, you know, up against an alley or a farrier even. Next thing you know, that you get kicked into that spot, you get thrown into that spot, the horse stomps you, pulls back, you're done. Or there's a post right there or something. Don't do it, man. Be in the open here. And if you do have someone handling the horse, just as a tip here, if you're on that side, you're the handler, the farrier's on that side, you're on this side. You sit there and watch, and when you hold the horse, you don't hold him tight. You just guide him and then leave him alone and guide him and keep him still. I prefer not to have them munching and eating and busy. I like to, you know, put him to work a bit, then bring him over here. I also pick the time that I'm going to bring him over here. I bring him over here after he's had the activity for the day. That's the best time. Not when other horses are getting turned out. Not when everybody's getting fed. These are all just very common sense things, but they're all things that you just take the time. So if my handler is here, they keep the head slightly bent here. You can pet on him, rub on him. Don't hold it up tight. Don't make it claustrophobic for the horse. I hope that helps. Be safe underneath the horse. Learn how to do that. And every day, pick up those legs, hold them a little bit longer. You're going to notice big changes. Thanks for joining me.